They have a presence in India. Some of them are in India for decades altogether. They have understood the complexities and different other layers of doing business in India. And if they see that India is a tremendous opportunity for them, give them a perspective on a second location in India. So let us say you are in Gujarat, but you recognize that Gujarat is in one corner of the country and you are expanding, you need to have a second location. Can that location be Telangana? So the first group is, of course, all of you who are here. The, the idea is to appeal to you that if your business growth is justifying a second location or a new location, do look at us. I mean, you are free to do your due diligence to look at multiple other states as well, but do give us a chance, do look at us as well. And of course, you are also connected to a network. Your headquarters are in Germany. You may have vendors, you may have suppliers, you may have partners in Germany. You may be attending lots of industry meets and other association meets there. So when you get a chance to recommend India to your colleagues, etc., do again keep us at the top of your mind. If you like what you hear, if you like what you see, and so on. And of course, once we are done with these kind of, and I do hope that this will be a regular interaction. While we have invited all of you here, and I'm glad that you have taken pains to come to Hyderabad, but we would also be making this a regular kind of an interaction. Not that you'll be called to Hyderabad every now and then. Of course, we'll be very happy if you can come here. This is the most livable city in the country. So if you're here, I mean, it'll give you lots of joy. But if you have your association meetings elsewhere also, for instance, Mr. Halusa was telling me the other day that IGCC has its regional meetings and chapter meetings frequently. So whenever you have a chapter meeting, sometimes later in the year, or later in the year meaning next year at other locations, if you give us 30 minutes time, we would also be willing to come and participate and renew this conversation, etc. So this is one group of companies who are already in India, and we would like to kind of make an appeal to them to look at a possibility of the second location. The second part of our strategy is actually to look at companies in Germany who don't have any presence in India as yet. Of course, there are hundreds and hundreds of such companies, so it's a large kind of a catchment. Many of them may not be in India today because of a variety of reasons. For some, maybe the growth opportunities in Europe or whatever other markets they service, that is still there. So they are kind of still looking at expanding further in their own domain. Some of them may be put off by some hearsay that India is a difficult place to do business. It is complicated, and maybe companies don't have a comfortable ride if they come to India. So there could be a front of, they are the face of the government when it comes to dealing with investments. So I can give you an example. I mean, you would have seen this very impressive product display, then the collaterals of this Munich-based company called Light Auto. Now, in a short while from now, maybe in another 30 minutes from now, you will witness a very historical announcement which this company is making. So I'll let you wait till then. But the point which I'm making is that this entire investment proposal was closed in just literally about maybe 15 days or so, with the help of our Invest Telangana colleagues, led by our director for automotive, who is also amongst us. So every sector, so we have a director for life sciences, we have a director for electronics, we have a director for aerospace, we have a director for retail, we have a director for logistics, we have a director for food processing, we have a director for textiles, we have a joint director who looks after animation, gaming, etc. Our director for information technology is also sitting here. So this is how Invest Telangana is organized. So if you reach out to us, you can assure that a professional who understands the domain will interact with you, and we give them lots of autonomy, we give them lots of flexibility. They can discuss multiple things and provide government's commitment. It's not a very hierarchical, procedurally complicated system that we follow. Many of the decisions can be taken then and there by the directors, because they understand that if there is something of relevance for the state, we should not pull back on anything. We should just go ahead and make the investors comfortable and give them that sense of welcome and appreciation for the investment that they are going to bring here. So I'm very happy that all of you have come here. We will be interacting with you for the next couple of hours. There will be important speeches by Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy, who till recently was the honorary consul here and is the executive chairman of a very important, very prominent IT company called Cyient, was also the former president of NASSCOM. He will be telling you about the standard issues which any overseas company first confronts with. For example, is talent available, is skill available? So he will speak about that. Of course, Honorable Minister will be telling you about our industrial policy and what can you expect to get here in Telangana or to receive in Telangana. And of course, the ambassador will be telling you about his perspective on how Indo-German bilateral trade, commerce, the other exchanges are getting promoted in the present regime. But most importantly, you will be listening to some company representatives who actually have been doing business in Telangana for a few years now. And most of you have also chosen to participate in site visits, which is again very, very important, because see, we can go on talking for hours altogether. I mean, there's nothing that we can't speak of. But eventually, the proof of whatever we say is that how much of it is happening on the ground. And nothing better than to actually go to companies without any one of us being there, just ask them direct questions, get a sense of understanding of what they get in Telangana, what we not effectively deliver, and then come to your conclusions about how would you rank this state as compared to other 27 states in the country. So once again, a warm welcome to all of you from my behalf also. I will be available throughout till you leave for your site visits. I'm available. So at any point in time, if any one of you want to reach out and maybe exchange cards or have some specific questions, etc., even when we are having lunch, I'll be happy to spend time and interact with you. Warm welcome once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving us such essential takeaways. We will now move to a very interesting section, that is the panel discussion on the experiences of German companies in Telangana, which will be moderated by Ms. Amita Desai, Executive Director, Gaute Zentrum. And as a part of the panel discussion, we do have three panelist speakers. Mr. Krishna Swamy Jambunathan, Vice President and Head for ZF Tech Center, India. Mr. Colt Mayor, Managing Director for Void Turbo India, and Mr. Shashidhar Reddy, Managing Director for Shakti Horman. May I now request all the panelists and the moderator to come onto stage, and I will hand over the session to the moderator. Thank you.
A very good morning. Thank you. A very good morning to all of you on the stage and off the stage. It's a wonderful opportunity, I think, for us to, at the investors meet, to talk about why India and Germany. I think that is a basic question, of course. But to move beyond that, because you have made that coming together of India and Germany not only possible but also successful. So I think it is crucial for many people who are looking inward, outward and back, inward again, to consider what are the opportunities, what are the roadblocks, how does one deal with it, and of course reach the stage where all the three companies that you represent have reached. So I would like to move immediately into discussion and talk and learn from your experiences and your journey. Maybe you, Krish, if I may start with, since you happen to, and I'll just go line-wise because, you know, I didn't want to go alphabetical or anything like that. Let's just begin. You do represent one company which has had a meteoric growth, and particularly in the recent years. Do tell us a little bit about your journey, about the experiences, how Hyderabad or India has had an impact on this experience.
First, thank you. Hello.
Why don't you use this? This one does work.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for coming again. It's a great honor here. Thanks, Ms. Amita, for asking the question. So we represent ZF. ZF is a company, again, basically on next generation mobility. We clocked about 36 billion last year, and that gives you the scale of the company that we are talking about. Primarily, we are into supporting next generation mobility on the three domains, three segments, on commercial vehicles, passenger vehicles, and industrial divisions. Is it better now? Thank you. Of course, we support on the See, Think and Act and on the technology domains with a focus on electric mobility. Sustainability becomes a key thing, and we have declared in the recent IEA also as 2040 as a time for climate reduction, in our case up to 50%. What we have done in the tech center, let me talk about Hyderabad, is a tech center that we started in 2017 March. It's about 4.5 years. We are already close to 2,300 associates over here. And I would say this growth has been possible because of what we see as a talent and our ability to leverage what we are seeing in the region here. So as we started growing over here, I think it is not a question of a back-end office. It's been all engineering work that has been done here. Moving on to two aspects. When a large corporation like that looks at a city in Hyderabad, we are doing two things. One, we support what is the current business. We also position ourselves for the new business into the area of digital as well as in automotive applications and advanced engineering. So that's how we have balanced to grow this. And I would say the key anchor has been the availability of talent and the support that we are able to get in ramping up.
So the availability of talent is a crucial thing. Is that something that's easily accessible, or does one have to work on it? Are there training programs that you have to introduce? How does that work?
Ms. Amita, there's two things. One, to start initially, Money Hyderabad definitely helps. Okay, there's a pull of the state that helps us to get people. But then once the engine starts running, you see that there are people available who can be trained and much faster. For example, even today we have got a program where people are joining. Just as we speak, about 60 people of them, 90% are from the state, are joining us today as a new starting.
They are
so
from the state.
From the state. So that's how we are able to get that. So the ramp up is there, but initially, yes, you need to get that. Again, the connect with the global team. ZF, through our partner in the past, TRW has been involved with Hyderabad. So that has helped us to attract the talent and have the build the brand name. So that's how I would say that the building and retaining talent is fairly easier here. Thank you.
And that is because of the talent that you find, or it's because of the training that they have come with, or is it the push that they get from the state itself?
Talent is available, definitely. The training helps us to align with our business objectives. That's where the training helps. And definitely the environment plays a big role in retaining the talent.
Lovely. Shashidharji, can I request you to please tell us about your journey? You're like the door to the world, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Good morning, thank you. We started in '94, and it's been a long journey in the state of Telangana. It was erstwhile state of Andhra Pradesh. But the Germans, the Herman company, it's a family-owned company. It's $1 billion plus in terms of turnover. They have about 33 plants across the globe. And they invested into Shakti in 2012. Since then, we have expanded. We have moved from not only the original products, which were commercial doors. We now have a range of industrial doors. We're now getting into perimeter security, the whole host of products that we are bringing to the domestic market. We also do some amount of exports from here. It's limited to places. There are certain products that we make, which the other subsidiaries of Herman do not make. And we substitute, we cater to those markets and those products where there's a demand for such products. Insofar as Hyderabad as a location, Telangana, I think first of all, as companies, what do we look for? We look for physical infrastructure. And I think we have an excellent airport. We have all the connectivity, the ORR. If you look at the metro. So in terms of physical infrastructure, we have extremely good infrastructure here. When it comes to social infrastructure, I think it has, in the last at least 2 decades, I think we have really moved far ahead in terms of having good schools, hospitals, a lot of good residential spaces. So in terms of social infrastructure also, I think we have, Hyderabad is today the place to be in terms of any, if somebody is talking about investing into any place or having a second location, in my opinion, it would be the first choice today. Though of course we are from Hyderabad, so we're probably partial to it, but the fact still remains, if you were to look at, we do have traffic issues here, but by and far in terms of connectivity and where Hyderabad is located, we're central. Whether it's the south of India, the west of India, and in some parts of the north, we're very well connected. And that's been a major advantage in the business that we're in. Long term, we may look at a facility up in the north, but that's purely in terms of addressing certain areas of the northern market. In terms of labor relationships, I think it's very cordial here. There is abundant talent, both from the workers and in terms of managerial staff. Yes, of course, there are certain areas in terms of skill sets that we all work on. There is always a need for more skilled people. And probably this is one area where I think Germany could help, along with Skill India, that we could have a good training center that could be established here. It would definitely help a lot of engineering companies. 2 years back, if somebody were to say that this could be a Hyderabad or this area could be, India could be an alternate supply chain destination, I think it wasn't possible to even discuss it because China and a lot of other parts of Southeast Asia were far ahead. But I think post-COVID, there's a lot of possibilities, and especially in the engineering side. So I see a lot of potential in this particular area.
So how was it that you actually selected India and particularly Hyderabad as a destination?
In our case, it's a little bit different. We were here before the Hermans came in, so they invested and acquired us in 2012. So, but obviously, what they felt when they came here, when Hermans came to India, they first set up an office in Bombay, and their first destination for manufacturing was actually Pune. And there is a large number of German companies. German presence is very strong in Pune. But after coming to Hyderabad, I think they feel that this was a good place that, obviously once they invest into us, but in terms of even wanting to look at another facility and stuff like that, they felt that this is a good place to be in.
Yeah, we have to change that, make Hyderabad larger than Pune presence, but let's work towards that.
Yes, I think we would need the help of a lot of German companies.
Right.
And Herman is a family-owned company. I think it's called the Mittelstand. I think there are a lot of German companies which are family-owned, and there's a constant, I think Schuko has also invested into a Hyderabad company. I think if one were to look at building materials, I think Telangana is somehow in the forefront of a lot of building material companies, whether it's doors, windows, tiles, roofings. So a lot of focus here on building materials. No particular reason, but I think it seems to have become a destination for building materials.
Lovely. Wonderful. May I request then Mr. Meyer to tell us, you just celebrated 150 years of FOIS, and FOIS India is growing and has been large and providing to the region and beyond. What was that decision to come to India? Because you came far before other companies did. So what is your journey and what is your experience?
Yeah, very nice question, which I think I can talk the whole day about it. But bring it in onto a short nutshell. Yeah, Void Group is a family-owned company, worldwide active, especially leading world leader in paper machine manufacturers. About 50% of the worldwide paper is coming from our machines. I think we are world leader in hydro energy machines, and we call ourselves also one of the 3 leaders in so-called drive arrangements. And these drive arrangements brought us here to Hyderabad in 1987. So there was no Telangana existing, it was Andhra Pradesh. And Hyderabad was, compared to today, a very small village. About 1.5 million people were living here. Today it's about 7 times more. And the reason why we came here was our big customer BHL, Bharat Heavy Electric Limited. And with them we grew here, definitely in the power area, quite a lot. Nowadays we are going further on. So the lookout for producing local has changed in producing global. And we have here in Telangana and Hyderabad everything what you can dream of. I think the infrastructure is very well done. I mean, I was here founding this company in '87, and when we were looking for land, there was no support from somewhere else, and we had no power, we had no water. We had to look for ourselves, and today, if I'm looking here around, if you want to establish a company here, I mean, that is a very easy cup of tea, which you have to drink, very easy, and there's a lot of help from the state, which at that time wasn't. So coming back to that, talents, as a world active company, you're looking always for talents around the world, and you find them, and here, this area is full of talents. There are young people, and the world is at the moment quickly changing in digitalization. You find them here. Just look around, they are there. And that is what we are looking and what we need for. We are changing from what is called mechanical stuff into digitalized stuff. So you need more software, you need more electronics, you need more engineering. That's all there. So I see these things very positive.
Excellent. Now tell me, as a European company, and the local talent and the skills that they come with, there might need to be something that needs to be done. So between the cup and the lip, there must be the quality controls, the skilling or upskilling. How does that get tackled? How do you work on that?
Put it this way: quality is for us not at all a compromise.
Right.
Since we have 150 years young, we never made a compromise on quality, not at all. Though yes, if you find them, you have to train them in the way of getting into your culture understanding, and then you shift them up and down the line, as I say, from here to Germany and from Germany to here, forwards and backwards. And nowadays it's very easy. You go online, so you need not even to spend a lot of time here and there. So the communication helps us quite a lot to increase the level of understanding and the level of acting on different things. So we have several projects which engineering is here and the production is, for example, in Brazil. So we are interacting with that. It's not an issue anymore.
Excellent, wonderful. Do you also feel that, Shashidarji? I mean, is that something that culture was what Hemaya brought out? The culture of work, the culture of quality, the culture of understanding the product and the design and the delivery. How did you manage to translate that?
In terms of people, in terms of having the right skill sets, at least the engineering knowledge, there's an abundant amount of talent. Obviously, there's some level of training that one has to give, but getting them to maintain quality, I think Karen or somebody had made a statement, it's a given now, in the sense that as a company, we've always made a product which is, I think, it's an exportable product. We made it right from 1994. So once the workers, it's also the kind of facility that you also create. I remember in the early days when we first set up, it's a sheet metal company. Ultimately, steel door manufacturing is sheet metal. So when somebody comes to a sheet metal door company and they look at it, they expect it to be, you know, a lot of steel lying around, scrap and welding and a lot of racket, untidy. But I think we always maintained a very neat facility, as some of the members of the chamber who would be visiting our facility today will see. It's extremely clean. It's always been clean. And I think that adds to the culture of the worker who also comes and works there. It gets translated into the product. So I really didn't see much of an issue in terms of getting adequate trained workforce here.
And achieve the standards
Yes.
that the global market requires.
Yes.
Is that your experience as well, Krish?
Yeah.
How are the markers of success and quality instilled in the skilled professionals?
Yeah, I think, as you know, for engineering, definitely, we have always been known, India. But what also happens is, I think where we see the state evolving is the same culture that you see mini India, I would say, as Mr. Jayashanjan mentioned about the 28 states. That culture is coming in because the way we are positioned, it is attracting talent from all over India. And that is giving us an advantage of what we are capable of. So you really see the diversity taking shape here and helping contribute to the state. And we are set up, again, as an export special economic zone, so we are doing all of the work is for global. So that culture of working and engineering development is really built in. And when you have the right environment, we are able to attract the right talent and use the diversity to deliver. That's how I would see as an opportunity here.
Wow, that's excellent, because that is quite a diverse. I mean, you're actually creating a global creator sitting here in Hyderabad.
Exactly.
And that obviously is a doable thing. I mean, that's very clear. Are there any roadblocks that you see? I mean, are there issues that do happen which are difficult to circumvent? Are there things that we need to go to our authorities and say, these could be different, these could be smoother, or the reverse of that these were so good that we could reach here? What is your experience in terms of the infrastructure and legal and other structures available?
Thank you. I'll give one specific example and let the people can know from it. Is all of us went through the pandemic, right? And last year when we had the pandemic, like any other company, we were also not prepared. And Rakesh, who's here, heads of finance, made a call to Amar, who is here also. And we were able to get connected with the government and the support in moving the work home in a matter of few weeks. Why I say it's a big challenge is, we have a lot of hardware equipment, we have other tools. It's not easy to, in the pandemic period when there's a national lockdown, to move things. I would say that is one very clear example of how the government has supported in ensuring that today in any in any of our internal meetings, we are quoted as an example of how we are able to move work on record. And I think that's clearly due to the support that we have received. And I would say it is always a phone call away for anything. We do not have to go for anything else. We are a special economic zone. We are running the operations. Second pandemic also same thing, the second wave. We went through that. So that is, in my view, is one clear example of how the government support works.
So how was it? What happened? I mean,
So-
machines can't be taken home, so
So the equipments, in our case, it's the hardware and tools, but the movement, facilitation of the movement, it's just like how you create a green corridor for medical purpose. It's the same thing that we create an industrial corridor, we make sure wherever we are, those lanes are cleared, and with simplify the pass movement so that people can move the work home and the movement of vehicles. So that was very essential. We literally moved about 1,500 computers home, along with the hardware. So that's the sort of logistics and day-to-day working that we are talking about, as an example. That's from
are
me.
there any issues, any one of you, any issues that could be different? Or is there something that the government could do differently? Could India do differently to bring in more from abroad? Something that you're all thinking. So obviously there's nothing. It's all quite smooth.
Maybe direct flights from here to Germany, that would help.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Wonderful. Yes, so I think perhaps to Mr. Meyer, I mean, you are an expat. And while work is at one level, professionalism is at one level, I mean, how is the living environment in the city, since you happen to be here, but you have, of course, branches elsewhere as well, so there might be other experiences, but how is it? How is the culture? How's the social intermingling and schooling and other academic platforms?
Yeah, okay. Put it this way: schooling. I'm out of school, and my kids are already
Okay.
old enough, though I had never ever had a problem with that. So social life here in Hyderabad, for me as expert, is excellent. And since I came the first time here in '87, I have friends. I cannot really all name them and number them up, but I think it's important here, not only here, it's important for India. You have to be willing to be open. And if you like food, Indian food, and if you like the people, things are coming around by themselves. And then you are getting closely into what I call it, this Indian family network. And if you are feeling a part of that, then you are middle into that. And here in Hyderabad, as I said, I'm a part of that. I'm a member of one of the oldest clubs here already. And Hyderabad is such an attractive city compared to, let's say, most of the German cities. This city here is not sleeping at all anymore. You find here restaurants from A to Z. You find here possibilities to be active whatever you want, even sailing. Yeah? And we are not on the seaside. You can do this too. So the world is open here.
Wonderful.
He's forgotten about the beer.
Well, that's coming too. To the group here, and perhaps each one of you can take a few minutes on that. Are there any leads, any experiences, any messages that you'd like to let people who would like to walk in your shoes, to have grown roots here and then expand and be so successful? What are the mantras that you can hand over?
I think we represent a clear example of having established in 4 years. So it's not something we have been there for a year or anything, for a long time or anything. We are very clearly an example of having established in 4.5 years and grown. And I would say it has not been any sort of issue in terms of hiring talent or in terms of support from government where we need to go and make a representation, anything. That's what I say. So we are allowed not only just to do our business, we are also enabled well to do our business. And that's something, again, any help is always a phone call away. That's how I would see as a recipe for us from a business standpoint to success. I think that's what it is. Sure, thank you.
If one were to see the past, I mean, when we were part of the erstwhile state of Andhra Pradesh, for those who don't understand Hindi, I mean, we used to say it's Andhra Pradesh because we used to have power cuts and we used to have power outages, shortages, and that was part of our planning. But I think all that over the last 6-7 years is past us. We are power surplus. We hardly have any issues on law and order, and that's pretty important. And yes, a direct flight to Germany would help in terms of connectivity, because we used to have Lufthansa fly from here, and I think it would be nice if Lufthansa could fly back to Hyderabad. It makes travel so much more easier, because we have a lot of travel between both from our engineering staff and from our colleagues from Germany. That becomes a little bit difficult when one has to have a halt, and it's always via some other airport. That's a little bit of a challenge.
Okay, I see somebody's coming here in. What I would like to say is, if you are interested for whatever reason to invest in India, though, and here in Telangana, just think about in a middle to long term view. That is exactly what we are doing from a family owned company. And if you are willing to do that, then you will see the success coming. In 1, 2, 3 years you will start, and then it will fly by itself. So just think about your investment about middle and long term, and I think that will be helpful. Regarding anything else, as I said before, Hyderabad is middle in the heart of India, and you can go left, right, and you find a lot of suppliers. Supplier chain here is also really good. Though that is maybe also of importance to mention that. So I see there are no hurdles. The only hurdle is maybe the headquarters in Germany to say, oops, is it worthwhile to do it? Yeah? But that is maybe the major hurdle, but the rest, I think there's nothing in between.
Excellent. So the advice that I hear from the three of you is to take the plunge. From somebody who has been around for several decades to somebody who is going to move successfully into the first decade and onward, to take the plunge, and Telangana allows you to swim. There is no question of sinking, right? So that is what I hear you all say, and I think that's excellent, because I think for people present here and wanting to start something. Once you have the will, there is a way and many ways. So wonderful. Thank you so much for your experiences and being the beacon of, people that's established here. I think quite encouraging and motivating. And I thank the organizers for giving this opportunity to come together for this little chat that we had. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amita.
Thank you, each one of you.
Thank you, Ms. Amita, and our three key panelists for such an interesting conversation. Can I please invite all the dignitaries to step onto stage, please? Can I request all the dignitaries announce? Sure. Our Honorable Minister for IT and Industries, Shri KT Ramarao sir. His Excellency Ambassador Walter J. Lindner, Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany, Shri Jayesh Ranjan, Principal Secretary, IT and Industries, Mr. Stephen Halusa, Director General, IGCC, our Consul General, Ms. Karen Stoll in Germany, and Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy, Founder Chairman for Scient. We have now reached a very key moment of this summit. We will now be signing a memorandum of understanding between the government of Telangana and Light Auto GmbH. Light Auto GmbH will invest approximately 1500 crores, that is 200 million, in Telangana to establish an advanced design and manufacturing facility called Light Auto Components Private Limited. This will be spread about 100 acres and it will generate employment for about 10,000 plus people. In fact, everything that we're discussing in today's summit is translated into a live example by this one company. Our state takes pride in its extremely progressive policies, and this moment is indeed a big milestone for Telangana's investment. I would also like to mention that the senior leadership in Germany from the team of Light Auto was extremely excited to be here, but unfortunately, due to the world over travel restrictions, they were unable to come. However, we are joined by their India team, and we will be now going ahead with the signing of the MOU ceremony. I will now request Mr. Gopal Krishna, a Director for Automotive, to carry forward the formalities. Can I also request on stage Mr. Bala Anand Jaldi, MD Light Auto India, Mr. Ramesh Santanam, Corporate Group Advisor, Mr. Shubha Charan, Director Strategy, Mr. Venkat Reddy Yata, Head of Operations, Mr. Kranti Reddy, Head of Design, and Mr. Ram Mohan, Admin Light Auto. Can I please have the entire team on stage? Can I please request Mr. Bala Anand Jaldi, MD Light Auto India, to speak a few words?
Good morning to all dignitaries, Your Excellency, Honorable Minister of Industries for State of Telangana, Karen Stoll from Consulate General in Germany. Uh, I have been extremely happy for this moment. This progress has been the work of nearly 3 years of continuous work within the state of Telangana, and also apart from that 15 years of R&D where the technology has been tested and tried in space and defense technologies as well. The reason why light auto, I want to give a brief about light auto and its history. Light auto primarily makes magnesium components. Magnesium is the lightest of all structural materials. It is lighter by 40% from aluminium, almost 80% lighter than steel. In fact, it replaces and equal to the strength of both steel and as well as aluminium. We can replace almost all of steel and aluminium to magnesium. But the technology is extremely difficult. You can count on fingertips globally how many companies exist on magnesium domain. It's extremely difficult technology. But the progress of light auto is one of the most interesting journey we have, primarily after putting up our headquarters in Munich. The first customer for us was so encouraging. It was one of the biggest companies, Rheinmetall. In fact, they encouraged us to set up the German headquarters, because we were thinking many locations in Europe, what should be the best location. After setting up, Rheinmetall has supported us significantly in infusing capital for continuous product development, which they are launching next year. And in fact, I'm proud to state that almost all of the prototypes which was tested and proved by the German giant was made in Telangana. Actually, the pilot was already running in Telangana for the last 1 year, and the Light Auto GmbH has already been investing in Telangana for the last 1 year. And every week we have a shipment going into Germany for these advanced testing. And interestingly, after that, in the last 1 year, there is an explosion of demand for light auto. It is primarily driven by customers. In the automotive sector, we see that a tectonic shift has happening from fossil fuel-based engines to the battery systems and hydrogen vehicles. For battery systems to battery vehicles, the structures need to be the lightest possible so that the vehicles have range and energy efficiency. And for hydrogen-powered vehicles as well, the similar applies. So in that regard, the magnesium has taken its central position with all the auto majors. In fact, one of the case study I can say is with BMW, we have just 2 weeks to get the supplier code. It is, if you go into automotive domain, getting a supplier code from a large corporate like BMW nearly takes 6 months to 1 year. And BMW said that Light Auto made a history in BMW to get a supplier code in 2 weeks, and we have recently have finished their advanced product development prototypes as well in the state of Telangana. Because of this constant demand, we have a responsibility towards our customers to increase our scale in a very aggressive way. So Light Auto GmbH, which is a marquee management teams who have managed billion-dollar businesses in automotive, I would like to name few of my colleagues in Germany. Chris McGinty, he is the CEO of Light Auto GmbH. He used to manage 9 billion portfolio in Namura Bank. Uwe Frust, he is the CFO. Dr. Sheshu, he is the ex-CTO of Ashok Leyland. He is 20 years with Daimler, and he is also the Chief Technology Officer for Great Wall in China. He has extensive experience, and he is actually he is board member for three major unicorns in Europe. Then Mr. Venkatraman, he is the head of business development team in business bus division of Ashok Leyland, also the executive chairman of Ashok Leyland Trust. Mr. Ramesh Santanam, who is here right now with us, he is the innovation head for Hinduja family businesses, innovation head. He is also the head of incubation center for IIT Madras, instrumental in innovation and enhancing the startups in Ashok Leyland. With this marquee team, the company could convince our German clients to further progress it. Today, Light Auto has, within the last 18 months, Light Auto has bagged an order pipeline of 2.2 billion euros. And also recently, just last week, one of our major clients has committed 1 billion euro order contracts and also advised us to take over 3 of the major plant. In fact, one of the plant is the third largest plant in Europe for the magnesium die casting. So that is being pushed by our client for the takeover. So because of these aggressive moves by our clients and also the market requirement, Light Auto has to quickly come out with scalable plans and convince our customers. So we have a 600 million euro investment plan for the next 5 years. In that, 180 million to 200 million is earmarked for India investments. And the entire 180 million would probably be invested in the state of Telangana. For primary reasons is the state of Telangana has been, even though a young state, has proven itself of marquee strategies in executing an investor-friendly climate it has created. Especially, I have to really praise Industrial Minister KTR Garu because of his strategy in attracting business. Sending a corporate jet to get a investment is no ordinary thinking. It's out of the box thinking. These kind of things have been noted by our German team, that we need aggressive, supportive government for our investment of 200 million in the 2 phases. This plant of 100 plus acres will be coming in Telangana. And also that it will create 9,000 plus of direct jobs, 18,000 plus of indirect jobs. And I have to really thank my clients, basically, but the customers, because the customers are driving this company purely because of the products, they like it, and the solutions we provide. And this is primarily the combination of the customers, our teams in Germany and India, and also the state, which is really progressive. And Telangana state has one of the most unique characteristics is also that it has a defense and aerospace background. Because of defense and aerospace background, the skill set available in Telangana is very rich, especially when we are doing high precision, high quality products. We need the skill set aligned to that direction. And in automotive industry, magnesium requires very high standards of production capability. Otherwise, the parts get heavy defects and market complaints. And we were very much impressed with the talent and skill set available in Hyderabad, especially that the precision engineering is one of the roots. And I think that will help the company to propel its growth and also quickly scale up and execute our business plans in the next 5 years. I thank Dr. Jayesh Ranjan and his team. When Mrs. Karen has written to him, the response was very quick. We are not aware that today there is an event, but within 10 days, an MOU signing with a German company. In fact, I can tell my colleagues in Germany, they don't move at all fast. They are very, very conservative. To sign a document, it has to go to legal, and the protocols are quite enormous. And also the commitment of 200 million, they have to go back to the investors to convince this is the right place we are putting and the protocols. But also the progressive and quick decisions and quick movement of the teams from Dr. Jayesh Ranjan and his team is really appreciated. It impressed our team to take quick decisions back in Germany, and the MOU is approved. And I think the further steps of executing and investments is going to be the next steps. And I think we are geared up to do so. And I really thank the teams in Telangana government that they are very progressive, very innovative, and quick and fast to respond. I look forward for this association and also Light Auto's growth in Telangana and also in Europe. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
change the backdrop. Thank you very much to the entire team of Flight Auto. And I would now like to request Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy Garu, founder chairman of SIND, former president of NASCOM, until recently honorary council of the Federal Republic of Germany in Hyderabad, to speak a few words and express his thoughts about this summit.
Honorable Minister KT Ramarao Garu, His Excellency the German Ambassador to India Walter Linder, our Information Technology and Industry Special Chief Secretary Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, our Consulate General in Chennai, Ms. Karen Stahl, Mr. Haldusa from IGCC, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you. I'm more here in my capacity as a locally homegrown entrepreneur who lived in the city of Hyderabad for 50 years without a break, and who ran two entrepreneurial ventures, and the last one was a 30-year-old entrepreneurial venture that I ran. As a part of that, I've also seen enough of the world, because my company does exports. And so we have gone ahead to analyze what does it mean to go and set up a development center or a manufacturing facility in anywhere in the world. So what I'm sure many of you understand is called the location attractiveness. And certainly what we have seen in the past was how is the infrastructure. Infrastructure in terms of hard infrastructure as well as the soft infrastructure. Whether you have enough of road connectivity, the air connectivity, the rail connectivity, innumerable number of them that go by. People like us, as I said, you could then count on my age too thereafter, is that have gone back to the governments to tell them how important it was to create a cultural environment in the city of Hyderabad. I still recall an instance where I took a representation to the Chief Minister, then the Chief Minister, to say that we should allow the pubs to be opened. We have to allow alcohol also to be there. This is a part of, the cosmopolitan nature. So the government's played an extremely important role in facilitating the industry to come by. Amazing effort that has gone in from different governments. But what we have seen in the last 6 years is a further positive transformation in terms of what we have seen as the infrastructure, the facilitation, the ecosystem to ensure that more amount of industry came in. So it is not just the hard or the soft infrastructure we're talking about, but much more than that is to create an ecosystem, certainly which would attract more amount of investments into India. And that's precisely what we're heading towards in saying that here is a city that has many attractive things for every one of you who are in this audience. I'll just call out 3 of them. And I think the 3 panelists who were here earlier also touched upon them very softly, whether it was ZF or it was Harman, and we also had people from Voith. The first and the foremost is we talked about talent. And in terms of talent, in several ways one could call this as the knowledge capital of this nation. Today, if you look at the number of education institutions in this country are unparalleled. The best of education institutions in India, which go by the name of IIT, IIIT, ISB, Nalsar, University of Hyderabad, or its FLU, and it goes on, are all housed here. You might say, what does FLU have to do? I'm sure that's important for us when we do global businesses. Equally important is that today, in terms of all of us, I'm sure, are technology companies. And more importantly, I think technology has become all-pervasive. Irrespective of the industry, you name the industry, I'll give you examples of how technology is invading them right through. It's agriculture, it's healthcare, it's education, it's logistics, you name them. It's all there, manufacturing. So what is important for every one of us is talent. And where do we stand in terms of talent? Is we have 1,16,000 undergraduate seats in the state of Telangana. It ranks in the top 7. That's about 8.9% of the talent, which is still very impressive, but I'll tell you more impressive stuff which will impress even KT Ramarao garu right now. The capacity in India today, where I said 8.9, is far in excess of what we require in India. So therefore, students join only institutions which are of good quality. The data point is, in India right now, the ratio, I do a fairly large amount of work for the Ministry of Education at this point of time, the ratio of enrollment in undergrad education is 55% across India. That's the average number. In the state of Telangana, it is 67%, which is a reflection of how good this education is. Otherwise, why would students enroll? It would probably be the same number what it is, 12 points ahead. The second one, equally impressive, very dear to my heart, is gender diversity. No family, no society, no institution, no state, no country can prosper without the involvement of women equally having a share with men. The average enrollment for an engineering education in this country from women is 30%. These are MyGov numbers, officially provided to me. In the state of Telangana, the number goes to 36%. Clearly 20% higher than what 30% is. It reflects how tolerance is. The third data point I have is everybody talked about the digital education, emerging technologies, how all these digital technologies are now becoming a part and parcel of every industry. Whether it was ZF, Voith, or Shaktiman, all of them talked about it. And there's been a major thrust, people like me have been involved, in pushing this digital education in this country. In 2018, when the push came, when we went back to look at the national number of seats that were there were 5,000 seats in all. In the last 3 years, or 4 years now, getting to 3.5 years, we now moved the digital technology undergraduate education to 1,20,000. Guess how many of those are in the state of Telangana? 22% of these seats, or 1,20,000 I'm talking about, are in Telangana. So the talent availability, the quality of talent, the gender diversity, as also digital technologies, is nothing to beat the state of Telangana. The next point I'd like to make is, other very important for all of us is ability to research and develop new products, new services. And today, again, unparalleled data is that there's no city in India today which has the same number of R&D institutions as Hyderabad has. The count is 40 and it is growing. You can name the areas that you like: agriculture, healthcare, defense, aerospace, life sciences, logistics. Any one of those areas, you do have governmental support in terms of laboratories. One might always say, Mr. Reddy, this is government institutions, but then I have to admit the bulk of the research in this nation happens because of government support. But more importantly, I think the movement right now is to convert this research from lab to product, lab to market. My two favorite words are marketing and marketability. I work on this too fairly intensely. How do we bring this R&D out of where it is inside as best kept secrets to be beneficial to this nation. And I think two things. One is, of course, an initiative that I personally run, which is bringing out all the R&D at IITs into the industry. But more importantly, from here, Telangana government created this institution called RICH, which is basically called the Research Innovation Council of Hyderabad. And they have done some amazing work in the last 4 years. So if you're looking at research for products, this is again the location to be in. Finally, my last one is all about the world that we live in. We talk about innovation. And innovation can come because of research. Research leads into innovation. Innovation leads into incubation. And thereafter, you get to an entrepreneurship. And today, in the first few states, we said it's the youngest state in the country. But one of the few states which started an innovation incubation center was in Telangana, in the form of something called T-Hub. And T-Hub has made waves. T-Hub is now into its form called 2.0. With 2.0, there will be as much as about 3.6 lakh square feet area, which will make it the largest incubation center in this country. Yet another first by itself. And what did T-Hub do in the last 6 years, or 6.5 years at this point of time, is created an ecosystem which will harp on each other. What have we seen as a result of that? Today in Hyderabad, there are 50 plus incubators. There are 20 plus enablers. And there are 50 plus co-working spaces. So therefore, what did the Telangana government do? Created T-Hub, all right, but created the ecosystem to add to T-Hub. They went ahead and created TSIC, which is the innovation cell. They created the V-Hub for the women. They created the T-Works, which is the tinkering lab. They created the RICH, which you talked about, and they have TASK. So sum total of the story is, you can't have a better destination than Hyderabad. I've seen all around the world. There are certain other constraints that you need to have geographic presence, etc. I went ahead and evaluated many locations. Many of you could not have even heard about an island of Puerto Rico. I do have a development center out there, 1,000 people development center. So it's through an evaluation process that we went. So therefore, I'd like to assure you that through a complete evaluation, I'm sharing these thoughts with you this morning to say that here is the state that you should choose to come and invest and grow. I wouldn't be complete if I wouldn't acknowledge the proactive, the passionate state leadership under the visionary leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, but equally importantly, our dynamic IT and Industry Minister, Industry, Municipal Administration, it goes on, Mr. KT Ramarao Garu. So can we all join hands to thank Mr. KT Ramarao Garu for all the good work that he does. And I also keep saying this fairly often, that the political will provides the direction. They are there behind us, behind a number of people. But what makes the difference is the bureaucracy. The civil servant is the guy who really executes it. And what we have in a committed and a dedicated government machinery in front of us today is Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, who did a phenomenal job in making what is Hyderabad today. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this will be, these few thoughts will be very useful to you. And I wish all of you will come and invest more in Hyderabad. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your continuous and persistent effort in making Telangana a business-friendly destination. I would now like to request His Excellency Ambassador Walter J. Lindner, Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany, to share his views on the efforts made by the German government to promote bilateral exchange between Germany and India. Can we have a round of applause, please?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister, Honorable Principal Secretary, dignitaries on the dais, and representatives of the German companies, Mr. Halusha, all protocol observed. Now, as the Principal Secretary has said, there are 28 different Indias. I have seen most of them. I travel since 3 years quite a lot through the country. And wherever I go as ambassador, of course, I will see the chief minister and the governors and the mayors and representatives of the German business community and others, of course. So, of course, every state and every state representative has a job to sell his own state. Paint it in the nicest colors. Come to us. Some say come to us as investors. Some don't even say it. They just say we take it for granted you would come. And when I came here for the first time to Hyderabad 3 months ago, of course I met also the dignitaries, and chief minister was not there, but his son, of course, and the minister and the principal secretary and the governor, mayor. And when we met for the first time, not because we spent same years in New York in the same area, me in the Union Square, you in 30th streets, where you learn how to be to the point. You ask a question, no, you get no nonsense, you get an answer. That's what you got with your minister. And we had an eye-opening meeting, and I can say it openly now because it was behind closed doors, but now the doors are open because you are here. We were talking about, he was selling his state, saying, bring more investors, German investors. And I said, okay, that's what all the ministers say in the 28 different Indias. Why should they come? And then he made his case. And I was very, very impressed. It's not so easy to impress me, but he impressed me. Because he had clear vision, and he said, you know, if an investor comes, he will get this and this and this and this. He even mentioned, I remember, he said, you know, if you want to have a new investor and he comes and he wants to buy a land or something, there's a timeline of 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something, whether when he gets an answer. If he doesn't get an answer, the principal secretary has to pay the fine. Or loses his job, I don't know what he said. He didn't go that far. But so far, these 2 weeks were never missed. Very convincing. So I said, you know what, it's good that we talk about this, but we should inform the German business community about all these points. And then it was your idea to say, you know, let's have a round table. Let me speak to them and present them the conditions they will find when they come here. And that's why we are here today. So 2 months ago we talked about it. 2 months later we got it realized. Another proof of the efficiency. No chit chat, but concrete. We do something, we make a plan, and here we are. I'm like the announcer band before your minister talks here, but I do this, it comes from my heart because I like to offer the German business community the best information they can get. What their decision will be, this is up to them. Nobody invests in a country or in India or in a state because the ambassador says, go there. You will make up your own mind, and Mr. Halusha will communicate this to the other members who are not here. And then, as he said today, the groups of different groups of companies, those who are already here, maybe might open a second one, a second representation. Think about why not going to Hyderabad. Or those who newly will invest, also they might decide. As was mentioned, most of the German investors are so far, of course, in Mumbai and in Pune, and then in Ahmedabad, I was the other day. Ahmedabad, and of course in very few other places, but not so many would be here. Why not coming here? You will hear all the answers by the minister. Coming to an end, we had just a discussion where you were not here, where there were 3 representatives from German companies here, sitting there, and the MC was asking, so if you could wish, what else would you need in this state? What would be on your wish list? And there was silence. Well, there was one point, which is bring in a Lufthansa flight, which is not in your competition, I guess, work line. It would be more in mine, but it's not even in mine. It's in Lufthansa's work line. But otherwise, other than that, silence, which gives a good impression. So it's like they were on your payroll, but they were not, because they are independent entrepreneurs. So I'm very happy that I see quite a number of people here today, and I look very much forward to exactly now this moment when the minister will tell you with his own words why a German company should come here and should maybe not come to the other places I mentioned, but should come to Hyderabad. Thank you very much, and thanks for coming to this meeting.
Thank you very much, sir, for your thought-provoking inputs. I would now like to request our Honorable Minister for IT and Industries and Urban Development and the topmost leadership of the state to speak about the government's support for German investments in our state.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you, and sorry, good afternoon, actually. It's 12:15 already. Thank you, Ambassador. Ambassador Linter, I was just telling him, in fact, that I meet many diplomats. I interact with several diplomats from all over the world. But I like diplomats who are not very diplomatic. So I see you as a man who speaks his mind. I see you as a man who keeps up his word. Thank you very much. You promised me a couple of months ago that you will bring in a delegation of German business groups. Thank you very much for making it happen. Karen Stoll, the Consul General, thank you, Madam, for also being very, very supportive of all of our efforts. I hope for your continued guidance and continued support. BVR Mohan Reddy Garu, thank you for doing my job, sir, because I think you were very elaborate on why Hyderabad and why Telangana. Thank you very much. As always, you have been a great guide, a great friend. Thank you very much. And, our friends from the Indo-German, Chamber of Commerce, thank you, sir, and the entire team for, organizing this event. And my Principal Secretary, Shri Jayesh Ranjan Garu, who's always, spearheading, who's always been a very positive, guide to many, many investors who continue to come and invest in Hyderabad, invest in Telangana. Thank you, Jayesh, for all your efforts. Let me start off by saying a couple of things. I think my colleague, Jayesh Ranjanji, was absolutely right on the money when he said there is not one India, but there's 28 Indias, which is a fact. Because a lot of times, many a times in fact, investors who are not from India, investors who are from overseas, could be Europe, it could be Americas, or it could be any other part of the world. When they start looking at India as an investment option, there is this oversimplified thinking that India is a unitary country. It is a country, but it's more like Europe. It's more like Europe, where you have each country with its own culture, with its own, different vibe, with its own different set of policies, etc., etc. Let me just quickly tell you why Jayesh must have said there are 28 different Indias. In India, the diversity, the heterogeneity is something that we all are amazed by, always. I mean, I'm an Indian, born and raised in India, but still I continue to be amazed with the kind of diversity that this amazing country offers. For instance, myself and Jayesh Ranjan, we both work for the same government. I'm the minister, he's the principal secretary. But the language I speak at home, my native tongue, versus what Jayesh speaks at home, are as different from each other as are German and English. That's how different India is. Everything changes in India with every 150 kilometers. The language, the culture, the dialects, the eating habits, everything is different every 150 kilometers. We have 22 official languages in India, but we have more than 300 unofficial languages also. So that's how complex, that's how diverse, that's how heterogeneous our beautiful country is. Therefore, when you are looking to invest in India, when you are looking to do business in India, please do not have an oversimplified version of India as one unit. If you engage with Telangana, you will get one version of India. If you engage with another state in India, you'll get a completely different perspective of doing business in India. So therefore, my appeal to all the German investors who are looking to now redraw strategies after COVID, after the pandemic, who are looking to expand their base in India, who are looking to consolidate their position, their market share in India, my humble appeal to all of you is, you need to look beyond, you need to think beyond Delhi, you need to think beyond Mumbai. Because each state, I mean the overall policy, the overall foreign policy, the overall trade policy, the trade agreements are decided by Government of India, but the action actually lies in the states. States is where the action really is. What do I mean? What I mean is, if you are an investor and if you are looking to invest in India, what all do you look for? Of course, a broad policy framework which enables you to bring in foreign direct investment. That's number one, which is facilitated by Government of India. What else do you look for? When you invest, we understand very well that you're not looking for the short term. You're coming into a new country, you're coming into a new territory, you're thinking long term, you're thinking of 20 years, 25 years, in some cases, maybe longer. So therefore, you need a partner. You need a partner who can actually guide you, a partner who can help you in building up, in growing together. What else would an investor need when he or she is making a business decision? You would need a few things in my humble opinion. The first thing, of course, one would need is a chunk of land to set up your factories, to set up your operations, to ensure that you actually hit the ground running. That's something Telangana, that's an area where Telangana really excels. In Telangana, we have more than 200,000 acres of land readily available for industrial usage. We have a corporation called as the Telangana State Industrial Infrastructure Corporation, which will facilitate, no matter what your business requirement is in terms of land, we will facilitate that land being handed over to you, either in the form of a leasehold or in the form of a freehold piece of land, so that you can start your factory. You just heard our friends from Light Auto. They were talking about how they wanted 100 acres of land and how quick the government of Telangana was to actually come back to them within 10 days and ensure that the paperwork was all done and the MOU was signed right here, right in front of all of you. My compliments, I think, to the entire team of Light Auto for deciding to invest in the state of Telangana. Thank you very much for your business. The second thing I would imagine you would require once you have a piece of land is clearances, speedy approvals. Now that's an area where Telangana really excels. Our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri K. Chandrasekhar Rao Garu, when he assumed the office of Chief Ministership about 7.5 years ago, had an extensive dialogue with the local industry, asked them a couple of questions. He sat with them for 7 hours. He said, what are all the things we need to set right? What are all the things we need to be doing, to improve Telangana's attractiveness when it comes to investments? He was told 3 things. First one was, please improve the power, electricity situation in the state, because we were reeling under power outages, we were reeling under power deficiency, electricity deficiency. This was about 7.5, 8 years ago. Not so anymore. Now we are a state that assures and supplies 24/7 electricity to all sectors, to industry, to agriculture, to every household. And now we also take a lot of pride in ensuring that 15% of this energy that we generate and supply comes from renewable sources, from solar and wind. We are the second largest renewable energy producing state in India today. So our commitment to environment, our commitment to sustainability, our commitment to SDGs, our commitment to clean tech is something that we take a lot of pride in. Second thing he was asked was for speedy clearances, for speedy approvals. Our Honorable Chief Minister, in fact, asked Jayesh and the entire team of Industries Department to travel, to tour, and come out with the best policy possible in the country and possibly in the world. When they came back, he was not satisfied. He sent them again to visit Singapore, to visit other countries in Europe, Americas, to look at the best possible policies, industrial policies in the world. And then, in November 2014, we have approved in the state legislature the Telangana State Industrial Project Approval Self-Certification System, abbreviated as the TS-IPASS. Now, TS-IPASS is very, very unique. No other state in India has a similar policy. It's a truly, truly single window policy. Now, the joke in India is every state promises a single window, but there are always multiple windows behind that one single window. But in the case of Telangana, backed by statute, backed by legislation, we do promise and deliver a truly single window system. What we promise is if you have a piece of land approved by legislation, you can start construction of your factory on day one without any clearance, without any approval from the local government, be it the state government or the local municipality or even the local Gram Panchayati. You can start construction of your factory on day one. You can simultaneously apply on the TS-IPASS portal to the government only for regulatory purposes, because we need to know who is doing business in our state and what kind of activity they are engaged in. Once we receive your application online, we only take 15 days to deliver a yes or a no answer to you. You might say again that, we've heard this before, time-bound clearances. How is Telangana different? We are different because if we do not give you a yes or a no answer in 15 days, on the 16th day, it's a deemed yes. It's a deemed automatic approval. No other state in India will tell you this. And the third thing we do, we take accountability very seriously. If we don't deliver on the 15-day window, again, by statute, by legislation, on the 16th day, the law empowers us to penalize even our bureaucracy, to penalize even our bureaucrats, to the sum of rupees 1,000 per day, till such time as they actually clear that specific application. This again, no state in India will tell you. In fact, I was in KPMG's global headquarters talking to the chairman of KPMG, and when I explained to him this policy, and when I mentioned to him that no Indian state will offer you this was in New York City, our favorite city, Ambassador, he looked at me, he smiled, and he said, well, no state in the United States also offers you this kind of policy. So that's how truly remarkable, that's how truly progressive the Telangana government's industrial policy is. For those of you who are thinking, who are smirking and saying, does this actually work, or is this all talk? This policy has been approved in 2014 November, and we are here in December 2021. Let me tell you, we've been able to give more than 17,500 clearances so far, all in a time-bound manner in less than 15 days. And in fact, in some cases, you would be amazed, we were able to give clearances in less than 11 days, 10 days, even from 37, 38 departments. That's how efficient Telangana government's delivery has been. And, as they say, what matters really is not just new investors, but existing investor sentiment also. The government of Telangana, in fact, has been able to attract several $1 billion of investment in the last 7.5 years. More than $32–33 billion of investment have come into Telangana. But what's heartening, what's extremely delightful, what makes us happy, is that 24% of that investment is actually from repeat investors who already had a base in the state of Telangana. The reason why I mention this is because as long as your existing investor is happy, they become your biggest brand ambassador across the world because they travel, they share their success, they share their experiences with the government, with the administration, elsewhere also. So therefore, I'm delighted to tell you that this is the kind of experience the existing investors in Telangana have had in the last 7.5 years. More importantly, a couple of things we admire. In fact, when I met the ambassador and the consul general, I told both of them a couple of things I admire in Germany. And I have discussed this several times with Mr. Reddy as well. The one thing I really admire in Germany is the dual degree program that you have, where you have your students, in fact, become apprentices or interns in the industry while they are actually in a grad school. I think it's extremely important to have hands-on experience. Now, that is something I would love to emulate in Telangana. In fact, that is something we need to emulate in India if we really have to compete with the large manufacturing countries like China and United States. The second thing I really like about Germany when it comes to industry is how well and how vibrant your SME ecosystem has been. The small and medium entrepreneurs in Germany make up for the bulk of GDP that comes from the industry sector. Subject to correction, I've learned that nearly 80+% of the GDP contribution from the industry sector actually comes from the medium and the small entrepreneurs in Germany, which is a remarkable number, if you ask me, because that goes to show you how well the German ecosystem is in terms of encouraging the small and the medium entrepreneurs. And now that is something, again, I think India has a lot to learn from. That is something, again, we in Telangana certainly can take a few leaves of your book. The more important thing that I've also learned from my experiences in meeting the German entrepreneurs, your products are of world repute. You know, all the automobiles that run on the Indian roads and elsewhere in the world are of international class, and of course, your engineering, your precision engineering, to be particular, is extremely popular. Now, Indian manufacturing sector, especially when the world is looking to move away from China, you know, either China plus one strategy or a complete exit out of China and starting to look at other avenues. I think India, in fact, we really want to take that pole position as a competitor to China. We definitely need to take a few lessons on attracting more manufacturing business to our state and other states also. And that's again where German entrepreneurs can work with us. German entrepreneurs can engage with us and help us grow this ecosystem, because we have a lot of, Mr. Mohan Reddy talked about engineering colleges. He talked about gender diversity. He talked about skilling. What I would also like to add is we have a lot of ITIs, not just IITs, but also ITIs. We also have a lot of polytechniques. We also have a lot of very, very unique vocational training institutions, which are extremely important in providing employment to different sectors of the population, different sections of the population. And especially in a manufacturing economy, all these become very, very important cogs in the wheel. So therefore, Telangana government would be very happy to also work with the German entrepreneurs and German government in ensuring that we actually create a more vibrant ecosystem with respect to manufacturing. The other thing I would also like to point out, Hyderabad and Telangana, if you look at us in the Indian map, we're bang in the middle. We're very well connected to the rest of the world. We're very well connected, of course, to the rest of the country, but we're also very, very well connected to the rest of the world. Ambassador, you mentioned Lufthansa, but I'm told by some people in Delhi that Air India would actually start services to Frankfurt and other locations, Germany, very, very soon from Hyderabad. I hope that will also help us getting more and more German entrepreneurs and German investors quickly to Hyderabad rather than come via Bombay or come via Delhi. I would also be, remiss if I don't mention the current ecosystem in Hyderabad is very, very conducive. We have a large number of defense labs. We have a large number of aerospace entrepreneurs. We have a large number of research labs in a variety of sectors, ranging all the way from agriculture to aerospace, as was pointed out by Mr. Reddy. Now that gives you opportunities to collaborate, to work with us across various sectors. And the last thing I would say, Government of Telangana not only promises, but we also deliver. We ensure speedy clearances. We ensure land allocation in a quick manner. We also ensure that whatever manpower you require, whatever human resources you require, with a specific skill set, we will train them at our cost, and we will offer them to you so that they are readily employable. Of course, on the locational advantages and the quality of living, Mercer is an institution that rates cities on a livability index. In the last 5 years, Hyderabad has been rated as a city with the best quality of living on the livability index in India among all Indian cities. And also, the last thing I would say before I quit, if a German entrepreneur is willing to invest in Telangana, but is reluctant because he has a better offer in terms of fiscal incentives from another state in India, if you're willing to share that with me and Jayesh, I'll only promise you one thing: we'll either meet or beat that offer so that you make Telangana your home in the days to come. Once again, welcome you all to Hyderabad. I hope you have a fantastic stay, and thank you very much for this lovely opportunity. Cheers.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a wonderful reassurance. I would now like to open the floor for Q&A. I think we have multifaceted, different, diverse group of industries in this room. So if anybody has a question, please raise your hand, introduce yourself. The mics will be passed around, and you can pose the question to any dignitary on stage.
Mr. Ramarao, very impressive talk from you. Congratulations to you and your team. I have one question which is...
Sir, can you introduce yourself? Sorry to interrupt.
My name is Ranjit Pratap. I am the... If you connect me to the chamber, I am the president of the Southern Region Council. And I'm an entrepreneur on my own. I have many German joint ventures. And I come from the state of Chennai, Tamil Nadu in Chennai. Many industries we have started. And one thing is that in many states, they give us clearances very fast, as you rightly said. But then we encounter the hurdles, like you said, after the single window. And one of the main hurdles we encounter is the pollution control. How effective is this in your state? Because I know pollution is not entirely a state subject. It is also, the environment and pollution is also the central subject. And you have to overlap and work together with the central government. And there are some clearances which the central government has to give the nod. We always get into these kind of problems. Can you give us an answer on that?
Thank you, Mr. Ranjit. It's a great question because, like you said, I think there are areas where center and state also need to work together, absolutely. But let me tell you, sir, we have a very clear strategy when it comes to the various categories of industries, especially those that have effluents and those that those that can cause pollution. So there is the green category, there is the orange category, and there is a red category. As far as city of Hyderabad is concerned, our government had issued a government order back in 2013, clearly stating that no red or orange category industries will be allowed inside of the outer ring road that you may have possibly traveled when you came into Hyderabad today. So no red or orange inside of the city, inside of the ORR, only because we want to make sure that Hyderabad, like I said, which has been rated as a city with the best quality of living among all Indian cities, continues to remain relatively free from industrial pollution, because as the city is growing, we also need to make sure that environment and economy go hand in hand. The second thing we also do, the state of, for those units which are already inside, which have been set up, say, decades ago, what we've also offered them is a relocational package. We've created infrastructure elsewhere. We've offered them, some SOPs also to move so that they also don't actually feel the pinch. And we have also offered them land conversion so that they can use the current land where they are located, and it makes it viable and economically a lot of sense to them. But more important question is, what do you do when there are MOEF clearances, Ministry of Environment and Forest clearances, etc.? What we've done, sir, is we thought on scale. For example, one of the largest industries that we have in Telangana is pharmaceuticals and life sciences. Now, pharma, what we have done is we have created a large park in about 12,000 acres, and we have gotten a single clearance, en bloc clearance from MOEF. We already have the environmental clearance. So if you're starting a pharma unit, you can go readily and hit the ground running. There is no time lag of 1.5 years or 2 years that you would face elsewhere in the country. There are, of course, other categories which also are beyond pharma, which also are potentially red or orange. What we offer for them is, in fact, Jayesh, myself, we meet with the local pollution control board, the state pollution control board, every 15 days to 20 days. We ensure, because we have to meet that 15-day window on the 3SI pass, we ensure that if there are challenges, if there are areas where an enterprise cannot be permitted, we say no to them within the 15-day time period. We ask them to come back with an alternative option. So therefore, at least there is no ambiguity, as far as clearances are concerned. So either it's a yes or a no. That's exactly what I said. Like Pharma City, we have gotten an en bloc clearance. Elsewhere, if there is a challenge, we say no. But if there is a yes, we move forward. And that's how clear our communication has been. That's how we've been successful. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kripi. I'm a filmmaker and I run a film production company called Rachna Shala Productions. I wanted to know from the Honorable Minister that how state of Telangana would help new entrepreneurs and small-sized, companies. Thank you.
Well, film production is a very, very important business in Hyderabad and Telangana. Kriti, you said, right? Kripi. Please sit. Kripi, thank you. We have a very vibrant, Telugu film industry right here. In fact, not just the film industry, but we also have a large, creative industry when it comes to OTT platforms or even the television channels, the multitude of them that are prevalent in our 2 Telugu states. And more importantly, we are also attracting, even Bollywood and others to come to Telangana and shoot here. So therefore, the incentives that are offered, I can share that with you. But if you are a newly ingrained person or a businesswoman into this, I think you should engage with Jayesh offline because we have a very well laid out, very clearly enunciated policy. Thank you.
Yes, I have another question. Good afternoon. My name is Sebastian Schulz. I'm the general manager of Lavelle GmbH. We are based in Düsseldorf, in Hyderabad, and also in China. And we are a trade facilitator, a business consultant, and market entry consultant for companies around the world, with a focus now on India, of course, recently. As you rightfully said, Minister Ramarao, many companies look from China to look for an alternative out of China. It has become difficult during the COVID days, especially to operate in China. And we have many companies on the line that are keen to look towards India and towards Telangana as well. I wanted to know, because in China, many companies settle in big industrial parks. They have very much catered to all their needs, including residential property,